Hi friends and fellow Earth Angels, it's Gladys, and welcome back to another one of my weekly Sunday card readings. And this spread will start by covering October 11th through the 17th, or whenever you're guided to watch, as I always intend these to be timeless readings, meaning you can come back to this channel at any time, scroll through the video and pick any reading that calls to you for guidance and insight. So welcome. We have a big week ahead. I know it's been a big year of change, a big year of seeing truth, a big year of awakenings and shifts. And you have to remember that everything is perspective, how we choose to look at it. And you can categorize it as fear or love. And we're constantly moving in and out of these energies. So Earth Angels, I believe, were massively awakened in 2013. And it was almost like the rose-colored glasses were taken off. And we were I want to say forced, but we were awakened to ask ourselves, who am I without these people, places, things, and ideas? And so we've been on this journey of identity, of knowledge, acquiring knowledge and information. And I feel like 2020 has been the year about sight, seeing. And it's interesting because I have an ache in my left eye, and although there's nothing there, it's bothering me. And then right before I started to hit record, I kept feeling like my glasses that I'm wearing were dirty. Like I felt like I couldn't see it. I'm like, sight, what is that? So we have, which, I always see everything as information. Knowledge is power. And so my inquiry question was like, what is that all about? And I've been talking about how we're learning to see through our gift of intuition and our third eye, right? Our inner wisdom, as opposed to going by what we see with our physical eyes, which a lot of times goes through the filter of fear, which is ultimately an illusion. So many Earth Angels are being called back to love, back to being the embodiment of love and light on the planet. In order to do that, we lead by example. Now, the more that light expands within you, the more shadow or darkness or things that need to be changed come up. Now, I don't say those words as good or bad, right or wrong. I say them in more of an experiential perspective, right? We need to be aware of what needs to change before things change. We need to know what our wounds are, what our core wounds are. We need to be aware of our triggers. We need to be mindful of our energy in order to make adjustments going forward. And I'm a big believer that knowledge is power. So this week, Mercury goes retrograde. We have a new moon in Libra, and it's a powerful week in astrology. Now, I'm not an astrologer. I do follow astrologers, so I would strongly encourage you to go check out some of the astrologers that are out there to get information to support you this week. I know when people hear Mercury retrograde, dread comes over or fear comes over, and it doesn't have to be that way, right? This is a few weeks of rest, recovery, recharge, reflection, pause. I have learned not to buy anything when Mercury is retrograde, because every time I buy something, there's usually damage or it doesn't go well. And, I kind of laugh about that as preparing going into it. Now, that's just a choice. It's just my perception. That doesn't mean, obviously, I'm not going to buy anything. But I've been aware of how the Mercury retrograde affects me which in turn lessens the impact and speeds up the recovery process through Mercury retrograde, right? So my plan is to do a Mercury retrograde pick a card this week. Now, I caution because everything I've wanted to do this year hasn't worked out. And so I stopped saying I want to do things because they wouldn't pan out or they wouldn't work, or I'd have my own personal stuff that brought my attention. So I have a whole reading planned that I would like to put out midweek. So I don't want to get too much into that energy, and I want to really focus on the energy overall this week. So if you want to know about the astrology, I would strongly recommend Wonder Girl Astrology, Molly McCord, or Tanya Gabrielle. They're all phenomenal astrologers operating in the divine feminine energy and really knowledgeable in the field of astrology. So I will put their channels in the description box below if you want to check them out. And so let's get back to the reading this week. So I chose to work with a guide from the Keepers of the Light deck. And then I'm going to get into what that guide feels, or how that guide can support you in your healing this week with the Whispers of Healing. We'll get into additional messages about your journey from the Mystical Wisdom card deck. Tapping into emotional support this week with Whispers of the Ocean oracle cards. And then I will finish up with an overall message from the ancient wise one energy of Sufi wisdom. All right, so let's begin. Open space, inviting in all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light who would like to assist with this guidance for you today into this week. And I'm going to ask that the messages that come through be for your best and highest good and the best and highest good of all concerned. All right. Let's begin. Keepers of the Light. What guide wants to come forward this week? October 11th to the 17th, 2020. There it is. I was like, come back. There's a little bit of a question mark. So, the card is, Lady Portia, Divine Order. Do what you feel is right. An important lesson is unfolding. Oh, wow. So, Divine Order. This goes back to what I was saying about all the things I wanted to do this year. I have so many things in the works, and I just keep getting diverted, and I'm really learning patience. I'm learning divine order, and I'm learning on my spiritual journey that God plants seeds way before it's time to take action. So I have to dot my I's, cross my T's, and pause and reflect. I make minor adjustments and then go forward. So this week, maybe you've started things, maybe the things you want to get done, maybe there was momentum going in a specific area of your life. And this week, there's diversion, deflection, there's a pause or a pullback, or maybe you need to go over and redo and review something. Maybe worries and fears come up. You can call on Lady Portia for assistance. And this, this message of do what you feel is right. For me, I feel that is in your physical body. So I've had to make some really hard decisions this year based on how I felt and what was in what I felt was in alignment with my integrity. Even though others may not have agreed with it, understood it, been on board with it. And I feel like because of that, I sleep really well Now, that doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean that I don't come up against resistance and challenges. But when I move forward and make decisions based on what feels right to the core of my being, and that comes from me knowing who I am, knowing my values, knowing what's important to me, knowing what matters to me, knowing that can also change tomorrow, I can pull back and pause and sit with that energy. And so maybe this week, be mindful of being reactionary. And if something activates you, makes you hot, triggers you, fires you up, get a little spicy, if that happens, sit with it for a moment, pause and pull back. And what you can do is you can transform that energy. Could be out of fear, could be frustration, could be anger and rage. If you pull back and allow yourself to feel it and self-soothe, reminding yourself, if you can mother yourself, reminding yourself you're safe. If it's a challenge you're up against, reminding yourself that the space you're in is only temporary, and really create that level of safety and support for yourself. Therein lies your power, right? The second we go into something that it has power and control over us, it weakens our physical body, it weakens our energy field, and really can open us up to manipulation or distortion in our thinking. So this week, especially, be mindful of acting instead of reacting, right? Making calculated decisions based on your needs, what feels right. The ego is going to want to flare up, and the ego pride is going to want to be right and make things happen, and I'll teach them, right? That can be really intense, especially this week. So I feel like Lady Portia is encouraging you to be mindful that there's a divine order to everything, and patience and pause and reflection, and then inspired action. That's what I wanted to say. I said calculated action earlier, but I meant inspired action based on what feels right. That's going to require you to be aware of how you're feeling and your needs and your values and what's important to you, and then move forward from that space. So you're acting with being grounded, stable, secure, and going forward in your integrity. I just feel like I just see an image of like a tube and easily people getting like just sucked up the tube. And so it's almost like being grounded this week is really important. Being mindful of how you're feeling and reminding yourself that you're safe, that you're safe, you're protected. God's got your back. The universe has your back. And then from that place, you can see what you're learning from it, experiences. So with the word lesson, I see lessons more of as an experience for growth, as opposed to that old paradigm of you're being punished. Oh, you did a bad thing and you're learning a hard lesson. That is not what we're talking about with lessons. We're learning about experiences, and we need to be tested in order for the universe to know if we're ready for the next level. It's not a pass or fail thing. It's a matter of preparation. So you're learning through your difficulties, your challenges, your adversities this week, and all this year, not necessarily as a bad thing. I really strongly encourage you to not feed into that stream of consciousness where it's doom and gloom and bad, right? Change is actually a really good thing. And most people after change come out bigger, better, stronger, faster, more alive, more awake. And I think that's why I started talking about perception, right? And being able to see things from a divine order. All right. Lady Portia, what What do you want them to know about their healing this week? How can you support their healing this week? What needs to be done to support their healing? Alternative. Interesting. Card number 40. 4 is about stability. It's foundations, right? So when I was talking about pause, act instead of react, when we are going from that place of being activated and frustrated and feeling fearful and powerless, we can react to things which can escalate the energy. I feel like this card is reminding you this week to pause and reflect, and is there an alternative? Rejection is God's protection, right? So if things aren't working out, maybe you had momentum or energy going towards things and if they just weren't working out, pause and reflect. Is there an alternative? I'm looking at this card. And her wing looks like it's being like opened up, burned. So you might feel that this week. You might feel that somebody is extinguishing your fire. You may feel as if somebody is doing something to you. But if you can remind yourself, with God, anything's possible. With God, I can rise above this. With God, I can see why this is happening. And so I just keep seeing the word structures and foundations and roots. And so pay attention this week how things are surfacing that are repetitive. Right? Like, oh, here I am again. Here's this behavior again, or I keep seeing this. How can you change the channel, shift the dial? On my social media field, I'm very mindful of what I'm seeing on it. So if there is a lot of, if there are things that are popping up on my feed that is activating something within me that I don't like, I neutralize it by shifting by it or hitting the hide button. Or so there are a lot of ads that come up on my feed, right? And so it's not uncommon for me to cancel the ad and mark it as irrelevant. And so I'm mindful of creating my space and what I see. And I like things that I admire, that resonate with me. I like more positive, I like more inspiring, I like more informational things in my feed. So I am a conscious contributor to what I experience around me. Now, that doesn't mean I, completely shut off from the world or I don't know what's going on. I have found the alternative, instead of being on social media, off social media, being filled up by it, being frustrated by it. I'm a conscious contributor to what I experience on it, which neutralizes my experience, so there is no high and low. And I do that with a lot of things in my life. And I choose to look at things from a higher perspective. Now, that doesn't mean I live in a bubblegum gumdrop world. Obviously I'm having experiences and challenges, but I'm a contributor to choosing things that are going to fill me up more long term, as opposed to allowing the world to squeeze at me, push and pull at me, and dictate my own energy field. And almost right on cue, here comes the sirens, the Archangel Michael, right? And again, obviously, Michael is the angel who helps us move through protection and fear and worries. And he wants to shift us into a place of love. I've got your back. Help is on the way. You're not alone. This is the alternative this week. So how can you be mindful that there's a divine order to things and ask the angels for an alternative? Listen, maybe I have this appearance that something is hurting me, or I don't like the way this feels. What's the alternative? How can I shift this? Boundaries and being assertive is something the EarthAngel Collective has been working on, right? Setting a standard for how we want to be treated and how we want to feel. Now that also mirrors back to our own inner critic, our own judgments towards ourselves, and how we navigate that, right? So be mindful of the appearance of this person or this job or this traffic or whatever is doing this to me. Be mindful and pause and reflect this week about your own inner workings, right? How is that mirroring and reflecting back to you? I keep seeing the message too, how can you have some fun this week, right? How can you flip the script? People are going to be all about Mercury retrograde and what's going on in the world. So how can you flip the script and bring in joy, play, adventure, laughter, fun this week in your own way? Sometimes we have to create that. Sometimes we have to change the channel. Sometimes we have to turn on a playlist or create playlists. I love creating playlists on my own personal YouTube. I have a lot of playlists, and anytime I need something, I'm like, oh, what do I need? Do I need inspiration? Do I need spiritual? Do I need like romantic? Do I need dance, women's empowerment, right? So, just because we're on pause these next few weeks doesn't mean you can't do anything. How can you be proactive towards creating things that are going to fill you up, right? That are going to bring you joy this week. This is not about don't do anything, but how can you create an alternative while a lot of action things are on pause with communication and travel and technology? How can you deep dive into pause and reflection and make it fun? Enjoy it. All right, additional message from Lady Portia. Whoa. Okay, let's see. Additional message. Let me set an intention. This is mystical wisdom. What additional information do you want the collective to know this week? Celebration. Let go and have fun. Here we go. So again, an alternative to the old doom and gloom of what's going on in the world can be, how can I celebrate? How can you pause and reflect on all that you've overcome this year? All that you've accomplished. Now, by accomplishment, I don't necessarily mean actions. I really didn't accomplish a lot in business and classes that I wanted to teach and product that I wanted to put out, but I accomplished a lot in my own inner healing, my own inner work, my own environment, my own sacred space. And so this last week, I've been celebrating that. I've been immersing myself in the peace, the pleasure, the inner peace that I've worked, I want to say, so hard to acquire, despite the highs and lows of the energy around me. So how can you let go this week and have some fun? Despite what's going on around you, despite the doom and gloom? Remember, we are an example, a living embodiment of love that God uses. God channels his love through us. And we are activators of love on this planet. And our human selves can get easily immersed into the lower vibrational frequencies of fear and worry and victimhood and powerlessness, all the fear consciousness, right, that uses that energy to manipulate. So how can you be an example this week to shift the energy? And that will require you stepping out of the box, stepping out of the norm. I think Earth Angels now are at this point where you're empowered enough to go against the grain, go against the norm. You're in a space where I see so many of you choosing happiness, choosing joy, choosing love over what the collection, what's the word here? Hold on. What a large part of the population is feeding into. You're choosing to go against and activating your own natural way of being in love, despite the larger population that's feeding into a different stream of consciousness. Now, that challenged or that fearful stream of consciousness is what is helping them to awaken and shift and grow. So as Earth Angels, we've learned that frustration and being upset by something and bothered by something long enough activates change within us, right? You can only be fed up so long with a job before you're either pushed out of it, you quit, something changes, you move out of that state area. It's only a matter of time, right? So we have this tension that's going on in the world that will facilitate change. Be mindful that you're not feeding into tension that you've already outgrown, that you've already learned from, and step into your full power of teacher, navigator, way shower. I keep seeing a compass. You have in your palms of your hands, in your third eye, in your crown chakra, in your heart, you have God's compass. You were born with it. And the planet needs Earth Angels to really listen to that inner wisdom, to lead, right? Whether you feel like you're walking by yourself, with yourself, you're still leading with all of us that are out here leading on our own paths. So celebrate that journey. Celebrate all you've overcome. Celebrate the joy of who you are. Let's see. Emotional support. Lady Portia, what message do you have for emotional support this week for the collective? October 7th to the 11th, right? 7th to the 11th? No, 11th to the 17th. My bad. I hope I didn't say that earlier in the other reading. So 11 to the 17th. All right. So breakthrough to new dimensions. Yes. I love this. Of course, this is 25. 2 + 5 = 7, which is a spiritual in nature. It's about wisdom, insight. They say that the whales, when they come up to the surface and they blow the water out, they're actually sending frequencies and messages to the planet and information. They come from the abyss of the darkness, right? So breakthrough to new dimensions. The card says, a new endeavor is on the horizon. Innovative energy wants to burst forth into your consciousness. Because of that, it's going to require a level of stillness, right? That action-dominant world that so many of us have been living in, ignoring our own energy, ignoring how we're feeling, ignoring our own needs, isn't working anymore. People are getting sick. People are getting depressed. People are getting angry, right? There's an alternative. right? Knowing that, I just keep seeing that you are, all those who are guided to watch this reading, you are a way shower, leading by example, the activation of love on the planet. And in order to do that, you have to feel the essence of your own love. You have to feel the empowerment of your own journey. And nobody can do that for you but yourself. So many of you have stepped out of these identity roles of mom, sister, father, friend, coworker, boss, husband, wife, all these roles that support a world outside of you. And now stepping into the essence of who am I? So my Enneagram number is 9, which is the peacemaker, right? That is my identity in all aspects of those titles. Friend, coworker, sister, daughter, boss, all of those, I'm peacemaker in it, right? I know my love language, obviously the Cancer energy operates within me. So all those carry unique qualities and characteristics that help me be that maternal, nurturing, supportive, loving embodiment of love on this planet, right? And so this year, a lot of people have had those identities, those false identities shattered, right? Those paradigms, those groups, those friendships, those responsibilities shattered. And what happens is, the scary part is, well, who am I if nobody needs me? Who am I if I'm not doing something for somebody, right? And now the collectives and the planets, the people need to heal. So many of you who have gone through this are going to be the way showers as we move into 2021. So innovative energy wants to burst forth into your conscious, meaning things that don't exist, meaning pathways that still need to be paved. And this is why it's so important to manage and be aware of your energy. I've been sleeping a lot. I mean, drowsy, tired. I think I mentioned this last week. And it goes to show me how dialed I am in with the planets and my body and the magnetism of all the shifting. And honestly, I just honor it. I have to. I can't do the work that I do if I'm not rested. Sleep is a need, deal breaker need of mine. I need to sleep. And not because I'm lazy, it's because that's how I receive insight and guidance. That's how I recharge. That's how I can manage my own energy. And it's very true for a lot of earth angels. So know that you're a teacher of the alternative to what people have been living. And that should be celebration, and not like, oh, what was I thinking when I came in and chose this? Oh my goodness, what am I doing, right? So it's something to be celebrated. If you have a talent, music, song, if you have the gift of foresight, intuition, if you have the gift of listening, being a compassionate person, if you have the gift of beauty and radiance, the ideal thing going into the rest of this 2020 is to really step into your full power. If you're a teacher, if you're a caregiver, right? If that's a natural part of what you're good at, the key is to empower yourself and feel the blessings of those qualities and those characteristics that are within you. So, resilience, of course, card number 1. There's no need to rush or push. This is a time to take things as they come. Again, this is the spiral. This is the stepping into the divine feminine flow, the spiral, right? And out of like the linear masculine dominant, I've got to do something to get something. Now, I don't want to say that one is bad and one is good, but if we don't have balance in each of those areas, We can get depressed really quick. We can get tired, depleted, and drained, right? So there needs to be presence. There needs to be awareness, right? That there's divine order. And the universe has your back, that they're going to show you, oh, it's time to sleep. Oh, I'm just reminding you, you got to go eat, right? But like I said, if there's any punishment within us, or I've got to get it perfect, or perfectionist within us, we're going to interpret that guidance the wrong way and feel more despondent. So it says you have the determination and patience to handle what is happening. That's a really great message this week. When you're self-soothing, right? Remembering you're resilient. I love that there's these turtles with the heart in the middle. There is this resiliency to EarthAngels. I know from personally working with so many of you, and myself included, that you're strong, that you're resilient, that you can overcome. And like I said here, it says you have the determination and patience to handle what is happening. That in of itself, when you get activated or people around you are becoming wavy or emotional or triggered or activated, right? How can you, in that moment, send them love? How can you pull out from any judgment, any critique, any feelings of powerlessness, which is all human. It's all human, normal experiences. But when you're aware of it, you can shift it, right? You can feel it out, and then you can shift it and send them prayers, blessings, love, right? One of the most empowering things that I've received from my mentors and teachers is the energy of I believe in you. You can do this. I've had to do a lot of inner work on self-esteem, worth and value, growth, independence, right? I've really had to do a lot of inner work on that. And one of the greatest, most nurturing things to receive back from these beautiful beings of light who assist me in my journey is the energy, I believe in you. You can do this. You're stronger than you know. I love you. God loves you, right? This is why I say these things to you so much, because nobody could do it for me, right? And when I look back at my resiliency, I'm celebrating 13 years in business. So October marks the beginning of my 13th year in business, which 13 is a divine feminine number, lucky number 13. It's no coincidence that I'm working actively with clients and myself in the divine feminine energy and understand it as I start my 13th year, right? As I look back, I'm like, man, I started my business when I was 28. How bold was I in a world where the economy was crashing? It was 2007 going into 2008. People were losing their homes, their cars, their 401ks, their life savings. And I did it because I needed to survive. And I recently had this awareness that I've shifted out of surviving and shifted into thriving. Despite what's going on in the world, despite all the shifting, I have done this inner work where I can embrace and celebrate thriving in my own personal life. And really, that's no reflection on anybody else. It doesn't mean I'm better. It just means that I'm celebrating my accomplishments, my resiliency, my breakthroughs, right? Looking at the alternatives. And now I choose to move forward in a space of thriving. And I want that for you. I believe in that for you. And I believe there's so many of you that will teach that, who have gotten out of the surviving and shifting into thriving. And maybe you're still in that space of surviving. Know that you're well on your way to that thriving, despite what's going on in the world, right? That's how you become an activator of miracles. You become a miracle of love on this planet, and you help to shift people's perspective by your own light. All right, so final message from Sufi Winsome. What is the overall message this week? What is the overall message the collective needs to hear, see, feel, and know? So one. All right. Open mind. Oh, I love it. So again, breakthrough to new dimensions, a new endeavor is on the horizon. Innovative energy wants to burst forth into your consciousness. Oh, my doggy, he's got some allergies. So you might have heard that. That's him. So open mind, it says replace the old cycle with a new and exciting one. Friends, these messages couldn't be any more clear this week. So how can you consciously choose to go into this energy of this week from a different perspective? How can you keep an open mind? So listen, the ego wants to believe that it knows what's good for you. God whispers, I have something better. Trust me. Believe in me. I see what you don't see. And I love you so much, right? I want more for you. So a lot of us, again, because we're still working on self-esteem, worth, and value, we could be selling ourselves short. We could be limiting our potential, right? And in that, we attract people who will tell us what we need to be doing, what we should doing, how to be, how to act. And you should do this and you need to do that. And when you can kind of pull out from that energy and keep an open mind and trust that God is all seeing, right? God is the embodiment of love. It is the pure, unconditional love vibration. God gifts us the Holy Spirit that is like the wise one that speaks wisdom into our hearts. The Holy Spirit is the activator of that pull that helps us with inspired action because it knows the plan, right? And so a big part of what we're learning here is shifting our perspective, looking at things from all sides, taking off the rose-colored glasses and being able to see all the things we haven't seen before, right? All different aspects. And this is why there's so many different streams of consciousness right now. There's this belief and there's that belief and this is happening and that's happening. There are so many different streams of consciousness. And I think it's important to be aware of them, right? But you can pull back, go into what your needs are and what feels right to you. Yeah, I'm in this place or I'm not in this place. This feels right. This doesn't feel right. It doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It just means from your experiences, you choose a different, like an alternative. And that's fine too. That's what makes the world so beautiful, right? Color. There's so many different colors, right? Red isn't better than orange, is better than yellow or purple or green. It's the harmony of the way the colors come together that makes them beautiful, right? Look at this card deck. Right? Look at all these colors. The combination of all these colors is what makes the back of this card deck so beautiful, right? So there is no color that's better than the other. They're in perfect harmony. If you can see people and experiences and this planet as such, your filter, and from love, right? Loving every single one of these colors and seeing them as all part of the whole that makes it beautiful. Your perception changes. Love gets activated deeper within you. I'm looking at these cards and there's so much blue, purple, right? So throat, third eye, crown chakra, right? The higher chakras. And of course we have yellow to ground it in our solar plexus, our empowerment, our powerful way of being, each as an individual. So we're breaking out of that paradigm of needing to fit in and replacing the old cycle of the glory and celebration of being unique and different. Wow, that was beautiful. Yeah, it's great. So I encourage you, as you can see, I pull these cards on the fly, never know how the reading's going to unfold. So I'm channeling in the moment. Is there anything else you want to add to this? If there's something you saw that I didn't see, please put that in the comments below. Let me know how this resonates with you. Give me a like or a subscribe if you're resonating with this. It's just helping my channel grow and expand. And it helps it helps that you're interactive. It really does. It actually inspires me to continue and to do more, right? Obviously, we're all working energy together. But I'm in a room by myself channeling, and the energy's great, but it's always nice to hear from you. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. The way YouTube works is the more you like the videos, the more they pop up on your feed. Obviously, if you subscribe and hit the notification, you'll get an email reminder. I know a lot of times people don't like to do that because it's another email that they have to delete, or they have to that adds up in their inbox. So just a like of the video will keep it in your feed. It will pop up when I post new ones. So my intention is to post these every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let me close space as I am in that space of gratitude, thanking all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light that assisted, especially Lady Portia that showed up for us this week. And I'm going to ask that any healing that was started continue for as long as it needs to be done, in mind, body, spirit, and emotions, in all ways. I want to thank God for his loving presence and his resiliency to continue to show up and lead the way for us in that unconditional love. I want to thank you for showing up to this work. I want to thank you for showing up to love in your life and being a beacon. I love you so much. Couple announcements. I did add in additional readings in my services, so I've made some adjustments. I have decided to stay out of the office for October, possibly November, as restrictions are still rigid here in Rhode Island, rightfully so. So I did add in 3 different I added in 3 different readings, and they're oracle card readings. I don't have card readings on my list of services, but I thought this would be a good time to add those in. So they're 45-minute readings through Zoom. And if you want to ask a question, or you're going through a challenge and you want to see what the cards have to say, obviously, these cards have been very powerful, and I figured why not put it out to individual readings as well, personal readings. So there's 3 different ones on there. I will put the link in the description box below so that you can see the services that I offer. And that's it. Yeah, I've decided to stay out of the office, unfortunately. I miss energy work. I miss one-on-one clients, but this is where we're at. I need to go with the flow, right? So I love you. Thank you so much for watching. God loves you so much. Trust in the divine. Trust your intuition. And I send you love with heavenly hugs. Bye for now.